You know what?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, kind of. What? Salam Israel, get started in 1 minute. What? All right, Shalom Israel. Y'all Bashem Yahushai Barakatham, Yahushamallatham, Bashem Yahushai to the brothers and sisters. I'm Priest Officer Parag holding down the weekly Sabbath service for the ISUPK out of Arizona. All right. If you're watching online, you can see at the very bottom of the screen our class location and our class hours as well. Also, make sure to follow us on Facebook and subscribe on YouTube. All right, ISUPK Arizona. All right, we're gonna pretty much jump right on into it today. Today we'll be in the 11th chapter of Jeremiah. We're gonna be talking about idolatry. It's always good to get a refresher on what idolatry really is. And we like I said, we're gonna go kind of deep into it. We're gonna talk about the different forms of idolatry, the fact that it's not always just wood and stone. It can also be anything that you put in front of the Most High. It can be a woman, it could be your children, it could be a job, whatever it is. So like 1 second, answer this. Shalom, shalom, Christ. Hey. Okay, come. Usually at the fries, but I'm just starting the class right now. He said he at the Walmart. They got it there.
They should have some.
Can you call him real quick?
Sure.
I'm gonna have him out as I call you, just so I can start the class. Like, No, yeah, I just started. Con. All right, no sir. It's not okay. He said it's all good. Yeah. All right. So with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Just me up here on margin, which means to stand. Go ahead and start the Sabbath service. All right, beginning with the prayers. So everybody else, I margin upon Yahweh done, which means to turn and face the east. We're gonna begin with the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Hayah, Shamka, Yahweh, Malakukah, Taba'ah, Atazakah, Hayah, Aisha, Barataza, Kawa, Hayah, Hashemayim, Nathalanawa, Lakam, Kayawam, Wasalakanawa, Kawabwathnawa, Kasalaknawa, Kawabwathinawa, Wala'ah, Tabiyanawa, Wanasai 1, Abal, Awashanawa, Mayan, Rakaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Wa'ala, Wathapara, Laiwalamyu, Aman. In the English, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. So be it. All right, we're going to read the power in the Hebrew. Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Babu Kusha, Nathanaw, Hakak, Larafa'ah, Kalmaka'ala, Ukalmadawa, Hakak Latahar, Hamatazariah, Hakak, Lakwayam, Hamathim, Hakak, Awakawa, Atama'ala, Lagarshan, Bashem Yahushai, the Wadaman. In the English, Yahweh. In the name of Yahushai. Please give us the power. The power to heal all manner of sickness. And all manner of disease. The power to cleanse the lepers. The power to raise the dead. The power against unclean spirits. To cast them out. In the name of Yahushai. Thank you, so be it. Psalms the 121st chapter in the Hebrew. Asha'ah, Ayanya, Ahaharyam, Mayan, Yaba'ah, Izarya, Ma'aim, Yahweh, Aisha, Shemayam, Warataza, Al Yathan, Lamawat, Regalka, Al Yanawam, Shamarka, Hana, La'a, Yanawam, Wala'a, Yashan, Shalmar, Yasha Allah, Yahweh, Shamarka, Yahweh, Tazalka, Al Yah, Yamyinka, Yawamam, Hashamash, La'a, Yakaka, Wayarak, Balayala, Yahweh, Yashamarka, Makalrak, Yashamar, Athnapashka, Yahweh, Yashamar, Taza'athka, Waba, Wa'aka, Ma'aitha, Wa'ai, Awalam. In the English, I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills. From whence cometh my help? My help cometh from Yahweh, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Yasharallah shall neither slumber nor sleep. Yahweh is thy keeper. Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. Yahweh shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. It's like Yahweh shall preserve thy going out, and thy coming in, from this time forth, and even forevermore. All right, I'm going to read Psalms 83 in the Hebrew. Alahayo, it's like it. Al Damayalaka, Al Thakarat, Wa Al Tashakwat, Al Kayana, Al Yabika, Yahamaya 1, Ra'ash, Al Imaka, Ya'arayamwa, Sawada, Wayatha, Ya'aitazawa, Al Tazapawanyaka, Amarwa, Lakawa, Wanakakidam, Magalia, Wala'a, Yazakar, Sham Yashrala, Awada, Kaya, Nawa'aitazawa, Laba, Yakadwa, Awyaka, Barya, Yakarathwa, Ahalya, Adawam, Wayashamai Aliyah, Mawa'aba, Wahagarya, Gabal, Wa'amawan, Wa'amalak, Palashab, Anyushabi, Tazawar, Gam Ashawar, Alawar, Imam, Hayawa, Zarwat, Labanya Lawat, Salah, Ashalaham, Kamayi, Kasaya, Sara'ah, Kayabyan, Banakal, Kwayashwan, Nashamadwa, Bayan da Ara, Hayawa, Daman, La Adama, Shayathamwa, Nada, Yabmawa, Ka'ira, Wakaza Abba, Wakaza Bak, Wakatazal, Mana'ai, Kal Nasaya, Kamwa, Ashar, Amarwa, Narasha, Lanawa, Ath, Nawa, Alahaya, Sayathamwa, Kagalgala, Kakwash, Lapanya Raka, Ka'ash, Taba'ira, Ya'ira, Wakalahaba, Talahat, Haryam, Khan, Daradapma, Basa'iraka, Wabasa, Wapatka, Taba'alam, Mala'a, Panyaham, Kwalawan, Waya, Bakwashwa, Shamka, Yahweh, Yabashwa, Waya, Bahawa, Ayai, Waya, Kaparwa, Waya, Abagwa, Waya, Da'iwa, Kayatha, Shamka, Yahweh, Labaka, Al Yawan, Al Kal, Al Rapazal. Hey, Shalom, sis, how you doing? You doing good? All right, we're going to get Psalms 83rd chapter in the English. Keep not thy silence, O Yahweh.
Keep not thy silence, O Yahweh.
Hold not thy peace.
Hold not thy peace.
And be not still, O Yahweh.
And be not still, O Yahweh.
For lo,
thine
enemies make a tumult.
Thy enemies make a tumult.
And they that hate thee have lifted up the head.
And they that hate thee have lifted up the head.
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people.
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people.
And consulted against thy hidden one.
And consulted against thy hidden one.
They have said, Come, and let us cut them off from being a nation.
And let us cut them off from being a nation.
That the name of Yasharallah
may be no more in remembrance.
For they have consulted together with one consent.
For they have consulted together with one consent.
They are confederate against thee.
They are confederate against
The
thee.
tabernacles of Edom,
The tabernacles of Edom.
and the Ishmaelites
The Ishmaelites.
of Moab,
Moab.
and the Agarenes,
Agrees.
Gabal,
Gabal.
and Ammon,
Ammon.
and Amalek,
Amalek.
the Philistines,
The Philistines.
with the inhabitants of Tyre.
With the inhabitants of Tyre.
Assur also is joined with them.
Assur also is joined with them.
They have hope in the children of Lot.
They have hope in the children of Lot.
Salah.
Salah.
Do unto them as unto the Midianites.
Do unto them as unto the Midianites.
As to Sisera,
As to Sisera.
as to Jabin,
As to Jabin.
at the brook of Kisan,
At the brook of Kisan.
which perished at Endor.
Which perished at Endor.
They became as dung for the earth.
They became as dung for the earth.
Make their nobles like a red,
Make their nobles like a red.
and like Ze'el.
And like the
Yea,
Yea.
all their princes as Abah,
All the princes as a bar.
and as Almunah,
And as Amun.
who said,
Who said,
let us take to ourselves
let us take to ourselves
the houses of Yahweh
the houses of Yahweh
in possession.
in possession.
Oh my God,
Oh my God.
make them like a wheel,
Make them like a wheel.
as the stubble before the
As
wind,
the stubble before the wind.
as the fire burneth the wood,
As the fire burns the wood.
and as the flame setteth the mountains on fire.
And as the flame set the mountains on fire.
So persecute them with thy tempest,
So persecute them with thy tempest.
and make them afraid with thy storm.
And make them afraid with thy storm.
Fill their faces with shame,
That the faces with shame.
that they may see thy name.
That they may seek thy name.
O Yahweh,
Oh Yahweh.
let them be confounded in trouble forever.
Let them be confounded in trouble forever.
Let them be put to shame and perish,
Let them be put to shame and perish.
that men may know that thou,
That men may know that thou,
whose name alone
whose name alone
is Yahweh,
is Yahweh,
are the most high over all the
are
earth.
the most high over all the earth.
All right, we're going to read the blessings in the Hebrew. Barakatah Yahweh,
Barak atah Yahweh.
wa Yahweh Shai,
Wa Yahweh Shai.
wa Mayaka
Wa
Allah,
Mayaka Allah.
wa Allahayim,
Wa Elohim.
Matazab Ya'ah,
Zab Ya'ah.
Alawab Yahana,
Alawab Yahana.
Ha'alawab Yah,
Alawab Yah.
Hasaranya,
Hasaranya.
Hakwatazayanya,
Hakwata Zayin.
Hakaya Yoyim,
Hakaya Yin.
Wahagwathi,
Wahagwathi.
Yahweh,
Yahweh.
wa Hashem Yahweh Shai,
Hashem Yahweh Shai.
the Wadaman.
The Waraman.
Blessings in the English. Bless you, Yahweh,
Bless you, Yahweh.
and Yahweh Shai,
And Yahweh Shai.
and Michael,
And Michael.
and the angels,
And the angels.
commanding General Yahana,
Commanding General Yahana.
the generals,
The general.
the captains,
The captain.
the officers,
Yahweh.
the troopers,
The troop.
and the sisters.
And the sister.
Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai,
In the name of Yahweh Shai.
thank you, so be it.
Thank you, so be it.
All right, sorry while you're shouting, we can be seated. All right, like I said earlier, we're going to be in Jeremiah, the 11th chapter. All right. On into the 12th chapter as well. All right, so I'm going to read the first 7 verses in the Hebrew, and then I'll read it in the English, and we'll break it down, get some precepts. All right, so beginning at verse 1, Hadabar, Ashar, Haya, Al, Yarmaya, Ma'ath, Yahweh, La'amar, verse 2, Shemaiwa, Ath, Debarya, Habaryath, Hazaath, Wadabar Thum, Al, Ayash, Yahawadah, Wa'al, Yashabya, Yerushalayim, verse 3, Wa'amartha, Al Yaham, Ka'a, Amar, Yahweh, Al Hayah, it's like Allah Hayah, it's like Yashar Allah, Arwa, it's like Arawar, it's like Ha'ayash, Ashar, La'a, Yashamai, Ath, Debarya, Habaryath, Hazaath, verse 4, Ashar, Tazawayathya, Ath, Abawathyakam, Bayawam, Hawatazaya, it's like Awatham, Ma'arataza, Matazarium, Makawar, Habar, it's like Habar Zal, La'amar, Shemaiwa, it's like Bakwawalya, Wa'aisha, it's like Wa'aisha, Yathum, Awathum, Kakal, Ashar, Atazawa, Athkam, Wahayathum, Laya, La'im, Wa'anakya, Ahaya, Lakam, La'alahayim, verse 5, Lama'im, Hakwayam, Ath, Hashabah, Wa'ai, Shamar, that's like it, Ashar, Mashabaithia, La'abawa, it's like La'abawathikam, Lathath, Laham, Arataza, Zabath, Kalab, Wadabar, it's like Wadabash, Kayawam, Hazaha, Wa'ain, it's like Wa'ain, Wa'amar, Aman, Yahweh. Verse 6, Wa'ya Amar Yahweh, Al Yah, Korah, Ath, Kal, Hadabaryum, Ha'Allah, Ba'arya, Yahwadah, Wabakatazah, Wabakatazah Wath, Yerushalayim, La'amar, Shemaiwa, Ath, Debarya, Habaryath, Hazaath, Wa'aisha Yatham, Awatham, verse 7, Kaya, Ha'id, it's like Ha'idathya, Ba'a, Bawath Yakam, Bayawam, Ha'il, Wath Yah, Awatham, Ma'arataza, Matazarium, Wa'id, Hayawam, Hazaha, Hashakab, Waha'id, La'amar, Shemaiwa, Bakwa, it's like a Bakwawaya. All right, so that was verses 1 through 7 in the Hebrew. Read those same 7 verses in the English. All right, so if you could pull that for me, Jeremiah, the 11th chapter, beginning at the first verse.
Book of Jeremiah, chapter 11, verse 1. The word that came to Jeremiah from the Lord, saying.
So now this is the this is Jeremiah prophesying this, right? And Jeremiah, of course, he was a prophet that only spoke the words that the Most High told him to speak concerning prophecy, right? So now we're about to hear this prophecy that's coming straight from the Lord. Go ahead.
Hear ye the words of this covenant, and speak unto the men of Judah and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and say thou unto them, thus saith the Lord God of Israel, cursed be the man that obeyeth not the words of this covenant.
So this is the word of the Lord coming to Jeremiah, right? And Jeremiah is telling the entire nation of Israel, specifically the southern kingdom, because of their specific whoredom and their specific idolatry, right? That cursed be the man that obeyeth not the words of this covenant. Let's go back to Deuteronomy, the 30th chapter, right? Because we know one thing, that Moses set, some things in place for the children of Israel by the word of the Most High, right? He told us that we have a choice between life and death, right? And he also told us to choose life that we may live. Otherwise, you get cursed and you die, right? That's also, you can find that in Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. That's a bedrock scripture, right? Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter tells you that if you don't keep the law and you don't keep the covenant, you'll die. It's just straight like that, right? Hey, Lord Christ. All right, so let's get Deuteronomy, the 30th chapter. We're going to read a little something that Moses was telling us a long time before Jeremiah. So let's get Deuteronomy 30 and 10.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verse 10. If thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes which are written in this book, if the law of the law, and if thou turn unto the Lord thy God with all thy heart and all thy soul, for this commandment which I command thee this day, it is not hidden from thee, neither is it far. It is not in heaven, that thou shouldest say, who shall go up for us to heaven and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it.
Right. So now this is something that Moses is telling us, right? He's saying, for this commandment that he commands us this day, it's not hidden from thee, neither is it far off, right? This isn't something that's unattainable. So many people think that you can't keep the covenant of the Most High and that you can't keep the law, right? So many people think that. But Moses is here to tell you definitely can keep it, right? It's not far off. It's not like it's in heaven right? Where you have to have some sort of, who shall go up to us? Who shall go up to heaven for us and bring it unto us that we may hear it and do it? It's right here. It's tangible. It's something that you can see right here in this book. Tells you everything that you need, right? It's not far off. Keep going.
Like if I could.
Yeah, you got it.
It kind of sounds like too. It's like it's like I can't go up to heaven, so I just want to not even keep it.
Right.
It kind of sounds like so like for people who think like that, right? It's like, oh, well, when we die, that's when we're gonna be made perfect, right? When we go to heaven, so that's the only place, right? Like,
yeah, no, and that's what so many people had that misconception of you can't be perfect. Like so many people tell us you can't keep the whole law, which is a lie because we do. You get what I'm saying? And so because that's the case, the reason why they think that we can't keep the whole law is because of the Christian church. The Christian church teaches them exactly what you just said. You can't be perfect. When you die, then you'll be perfect. That's what they say, right? So everybody goes to heaven when they die, and that's when they become perfect. But that, of course, is a lie, right? Let's keep going.
Verse 13. Neither is it beyond the sea that thou shouldest say, who shall go over the sea for us and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it.
Right. Neither is it somewhere far off in some secret mystical book or something like that, where you got to send somebody to go get it and retrieve it and bring it back to you. It's not that either, right? Because it's right here. Keep going.
But the word is very nigh unto thee, in thy mouth, and in thy heart, that thou mayest do it.
So it's not far off. It's very near to you. It's within you, right? Keep going.
See, I have set before thee this day life and good, and death and evil.
So now we have a comparison here, right? We have a comparison. Life and good and death and evil, right? So you have life, which is good, and good is keeping the commandments, doing the law, right? And then you also have death, which is bad, and evil, which is bad. Right? So let's keep reading. Verse 16 says, in that day, it's like in that I command thee this day to love the Most High thy power, to walk in his ways, and to keep his commandments and his statutes and his judgments, that thou mayest live and multiply. This is proof that that's what the good Moses is talking about, right? When it says good and life, that life that he's talking about is keeping his commandments and his statutes and his judgments, that thou mayest live and multiply, right? Because the opposite of that is death. If you're not living and multiplying, you die off. Everybody knows that. That's basic science. Hey, Shalom, sis, how you doing? Right? Let's keep going though. All right, let's keep going. And the Most High thy power shall bless thee in the land whither thou goest to possess it. Right? So he's going to put us in our own land. Only if we do what? If we keep his commandments and walk in his ways. That's how we'll live and multiply. Right? If you could give me verse 17.
Deuteronomy?
Yeah.
13 and 17?
30 and 17.
Verse 17. But if thine heart turn away.
So now this is the opposite, right? This says, but, right? So this is the opposite of life. But if thine heart turn away, go ahead.
So that thou wilt not hear, but shall be drawn away and worship other gods and serve them.
Worship other gods. Now, remember, today's Sabbath service is about idolatry. That's what this is all about to be about, right? And so now he said, if you shall be drawn away, if you will not hear and be drawn away and worship other gods and serve them, go ahead.
Verse 18. I denounce unto you this day that ye shall surely perish.
And this is what he said. He said, I denounce unto you this day that ye shall surely perish. This isn't a maybe. This isn't a, I might change my mind. This is, listen, Malachi 3 and 6 says that the Lord changes not. So this is going to happen if you do not keep the law of the Most High. Keep going.
And that ye shall not prolong your days upon the land, whether thou pass it over Jordan to go to possess it.
And right, and remember, this is when Moses was leading the children of Israel into the land of Israel. That's part of the covenant. Remember, the Most High made a covenant with the children of Israel and told us that we would have our own land, and that's what that land of Israel is, right? But as we all know, we're not in the land of Israel. Why is that? That's because we've broken the covenant. You can find that in Jeremiah, the 31st chapter. We broke the covenant of the Most High, and that's why we're in America. That's why we're in South America. That's why we're scattered abroad, right? Keep going.
Verse 19. I call heaven and earth to record this day against you.
He didn't say I call heaven and earth to record this day for you. He said against you, right? Keep going.
That I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing.
Blessing and cursing. Remember, the reason why we pulled this scripture, the reason why we pulled this precept is because the Most High just said in the book of Jeremiah, the 11th chapter, cursed is the man that does not keep my commandment, that does not keep my covenant, right? Keep going.
Therefore, choose life, and both thou and thy seed may live. So this is what Moses is doing. Moses right now is telling us, you can never say that nobody told you. That's why he said, I call heaven and earth to record this day against you. Because we the type of people that say, well, I didn't know. I didn't know I was supposed to do this. I didn't know I was going to get in trouble for doing this. And then what happened? Right? And then what happens? And then the Most High is going to tell you, listen, the Most High put in front of your face these laws, statutes, and commandments. He told you exactly what to do and what not to do. So nobody can ever tell me, it's like nobody can ever tell the Most High that they have not known his laws and his statutes, right? Keep going. That thou mayest live, it's like verse 20. That thou mayest live, it's like that thou mayest love the Lord thy God, and that thou mayest obey his voice, and that thou mayest cleave unto him, for he is thy life, and the length of thy days. Right. So for he is thy life. That's where you get your life from, right? That proposal that Moses just made, the difference between life and death. Death is the Most High leaving you, but life is the Most High being with you, right? You cleaving unto the Most High. Keep going. Right. That thou mayest dwell in the land which the Lord sware unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give them. Now let's go back to Jeremiah, the 11th chapter, right? What was the one thing that Moses pointed out? One sin that he pointed out, right? Worshiping other gods. The only reason people ever sin, and we're gonna read it right in the book of Jeremiah. The only reason people ever sin at all is because of idolatry. That's it, right? Because you idolize something more than you idolize the Most High. You putting something in front of the Most High. Now it could be another man, it could be a woman, it could be a thing, it could be a cross, which the Christians worship, right? It could be that cobblestone in Mecca, right? It could be any of those things. That's what causes you to sin, right? Let's get verse 4. All right, Jeremiah 11:4. Book of Jeremiah, chapter 11, verse 4. Which I commanded your fathers in the day that I brought them forth out of the land of Egypt. So now this is talking about the covenant, right? He just said, cursed be the man that does not keep my covenant. So he said, this covenant which I commanded your fathers in the day that I brought them forth out of the land of Egypt. That covenant is the covenant that we just read, right, with Moses, right? Because, of course, we know Moses is the one that led the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, right? Go ahead. From the iron furnace. From the iron furnace. You know what the iron furnace is? That's hell. That's where your Christians get, hell being underground and all that, right? That's hell is a stated condition, and that's the condition that we were in the land of Egypt, right? Go ahead. Saying, obey my voice and do them according to all which I command you. So shall ye be my people, and I will be your God. Give me Psalms, the 16th chapter. Let's get somewhat of a testimony of this, right? Because the Most High said, if you obey my voice and do the law, according to all which I command you, so shall ye be my people, and I will be your God. The word God in the Hebrew is Elohim, right? And that word means power. That's what that word means, right? The Lord, that means the Lord is our strength. That's where we get our strength from. Without the Lord, I don't give a damn. You can, we know all about Samson. Samson was a strong brother, very extremely strong, right? But because he put his faith in a woman instead of the Most High, we saw what happened to him. You know what I'm saying? Let's get Psalms, the 16th chapter. Let's get the 8th verse. Book of Psalms, chapter 16, verse 8. Now this is David speaking, right? This is David. This is a psalm of David, and of course we know David was a man after the Most High's heart. Like the Most High loved David, right? And we're gonna see what David did to get that love. Go ahead. Verse 8. I have set the Lord always before me, because he is at my right hand. I shall not be moved.
This is the confidence that David had in the Most High, right? David had a lot of confidence in the Most High. He said, I set the Lord always before me, right? Which is exactly what we just read in Jeremiah 11th chapter, right? Obey my voice and do all of what I command you, right? Keep going.
Verse 9. Therefore, my heart is glad, and my glory rejoiceth. My flesh also shall rest in hope.
Mm-hmm.
For thou wilt not leave my soul in hell.
And where?
In hell.
Right. So it said, for thou will not leave my soul in hell. Just like he delivered us out of that iron furnace, which was Egypt, he'll deliver you out of whatever hellish situation you're going through. And he'll definitely deliver us out of America, which is hell on earth. It's exactly what this place is. This place is hell. And he'll take us out of this place too, just like he took us out of the iron furnace of Egypt. Keep going.
In thy presence is fullness of joy. At thy right hand there is pleasure. It's like pleasure is for evermore.
Go ahead.
Verse, chapter 17, verse 1.
Oh, Salaki, that's the end of that. Salaki. So he said, thou wilt show me the path of life. In thy presence is fullness of joy. At thy right hand there are pleasures forevermore. This is once again a man that put his faith, his whole faith in the Most High, his confidence in the Most High. And that's why he was helped. That's where he got his strength from. Right. So now let's go back to Jeremiah 11th chapter. The reason I brought that scripture out is because so many of us put our faith in other things. Instead of putting our faith in the Most High, we put our faith in everything else. Right. I'm gonna show you something here. Give me verse 5.
Verse 5. That I may perform the oath which I have sworn unto your fathers, to give them a land flowing with milk and honey, as it is this day. Then answered I and said, so be it, O Lord.
So this is Jeremiah. Now Jeremiah said, so be it, right? Amen, right? That's what we say at the end of our prayers, right? Thank you, so be it. Verse 6.
Verse 6. Then the Lord said unto me, proclaim all these words in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem, saying, hear ye the words of this covenant, and do them. So now
this is one thing that we got to always remember when we're talking about the Bible and talking about the Most High, right? Slaki, Jeremiah just said, hear you the words of this covenant and do them. So many people hear the word, but they don't do anything about it. Like the scriptures say that faith without works is dead, right? You can't just have faith. If Noah just had faith, he wouldn't have built the ark. You know what I'm saying? If Noah just had faith, he would have said, well, hey, listen, Most High is going to provide an ark for me. He'll save me. He told me he loved me. Right? Most High told me he loved me, so I ain't got to do nothing. I'll just sit back and kick back. He's not going to let me drown in this flood. What would have happened? He would have drowned in that flood. What did he have to do? He had to put that work in, right? And build that ark, that extremely large ark. It took a lot of work, right? What did Abraham have to do? Abraham was told to sacrifice his only child. He was told to sacrifice Isaac on a damn stake on the altar. What did he do? He said, you know what? The Lord wouldn't, he wouldn't really want me to do that. He said he had faith, but when his faith was tested, he did something about it, right? And of course, the Lord eventually, stopped him from doing it, right? But the Lord wanted to see what kind of faith he had. Was it the type of faith where you just hear, or was it the type of faith where you hear and do? And that's what Abraham had. And if you want to be in the Most High's good graces, you're going to have to be just like Abraham. You have to be just like Noah, just like David, right? Keep going. Verse 7.
Verse 7. For I earnestly protested unto your fathers in the day that I brought them up out of the land of Egypt, even unto this day, rising early and protesting, saying, obey my voice.
Right. He said, I've been protesting with your fathers. This is one thing that we've consistently ignored, right? Most High said, obey my voice. And consistently, even right now, why is the Most High telling Jeremiah to go to the cities of Judah and the land of Jerusalem? Because the northern and southern kingdom split apart in the time of Rehoboam, right? Even then, we couldn't get it right. And we divided that same way today as Israel, right? And so this is something that we got to remember. We're going to read these next 7 verses, right? And in this next 7 verses, it's going to be real heavy on idolatry. It's going to be real heavy on what it means to have idols set before you and before the Most High, right? So we'll read those in Hebrew, and then we'll read them in English, all right? So verses 8 through 14, I'll read those in the Hebrew. And then we'll break it down in English, all right? Verse 8, Wala'ah, Shemaiwa, Wala'ah, Hata, Ath, Hazakam, Hazanam, Wayalaka, Ayash, Bashar Ya'ar, Watha, Labam, Harai, Wa'abya'ah, Al-Yaham, Ath, Kal, Debarya, Habaryath, Hazaath, Ashar, Tazah, Wayatha, La'ishawath, Wala'ah, Aishawa, verse 9, Wayamar, Yahweh, Al-Yah, Namatazah, Koshar, Slaki Ba'ayash, Yahweh, Wabayashabya, Yerushalayim, verse 10, Shabwa, Al, Iwanath, Abawatham, Hara'ash Nawam, Ashar, Ma'anya, Ma'anwa, Lashama, Wa'ai, Ath, Debarya, Wa'ama, Alakawa, Akarya, Alahayim, Akaryam, Salakia, La'ibad, La'ibad Ma, Haparwa, Bayath, Yasha'ala, Wabayath, Yahawada, Ath, Baryathia, Ashar, Bar Slakia, Marathia, Slakia, Karathia, Ath, Abawatham, verse 11, Lakan, Kaha, Ashar, Slakia, Amar, Yahweh, Hananya, Mabaya, Allah, Slakia, Al Yaham, Ra'ai, Ashar, La'ah, Yawakawa, Latazath, Mamanha, Waza Aikwa, Al Ya, Wala'ah, Ashamai, Al Yaham, verse 12, Wahal Kawa, Arya, Yahawada, Wayashabya, Yerushalayim, Wazakwa, Al, Ha'alahayim, Ashar, Ham, Makwatarium, Laham, Wahawashai, Laha, La'ah, Yawash, Yahwa, Laham, Ba'itha, right thumb, 13, Kaya, Ma'apat, Masapar, Aryaka, Hayawa, Alahayaka, Yahawada, Wamasapar, Hatazawath, Yerushalayim, Shamatham, Mazabakwath, Labashta, Labashath, Mazabakwath, Lakwatar, Laba'al, verse 14, Wa'atha, Al, Thathapal, Ba'id, Ha'im, Hazaha, Wa'al, Thasha, Ba'idam, Rana, Wathapala, Kaya, Ayanaya, Wa'al, Thasha, Ba'idam, Shamai, Ba'itha, Quoram, Al Ya, Ba'id, Right thumb. All right, so that was verses 8 through 14 in the Hebrew. We'll read those in the English.
Jeremiah, chapter 11, verse 8. Yet they obeyed not, nor inclined their ear, but walked every one in their imagination of their evil heart.
So now we just read right in so like in verse 13, or so like in verse 7. I earnestly protested to your fathers in the day that I brought them up out of the land of Egypt, even unto this day, which is a long stretch of time, right? Roughly 1,000 years, right? And he said, even unto this day, rising early and protesting, saying, obey my voice. Yet they obeyed not, nor inclined their ear, but they walked every one in the imagination of their evil heart. Keep going.
Therefore I will bring upon them all the words of this covenant which I commanded them to do, but they did not. But they did them not.
So he said, therefore I will bring upon them all the words of this covenant which I commanded them to do, but they did them not. Give me Leviticus the 26th chapter. Let's see what the Most High is talking about, right? He said he's going to bring upon us the words of this covenant. The covenant, a covenant is a contract. That's what that is. It's a deal between two parties, right? I don't want to say two people. I say two parties. In this specific instance, the covenant is between the Most High and the children of Israel, right? All 12 tribes of the children of Israel, right? And the covenant is a contract that says that if we serve the Most High, he'll set us up on high above all the other nations, right? And he'll take care of us like a father takes care of a son, right? But it also says in that covenant, if we do not keep his law, he's just going to kill us. That's the covenant. So there's really no backing out of this contract. You can't opt out of it, right? And we're going to see that in Leviticus, the 26th chapter. Give me the 15th verse.
Leviticus chapter 26, verse 15. And if ye shall despise my statutes, or if your soul abhor my judgments, so that ye will not do all my commandments, but that ye break my commandment, but that ye break my covenant.
So he said, if you shall despise my statutes, or if your soul abhor my judgments, so that you will not do all my commandments, he said, and you break my covenant. Verse 16 says, go.
I also will do this unto you.
He's going to do something to us if we do not keep his commandments and if we break his covenant. And what's that? Go ahead.
I will even appoint over you terror.
So now, instead of us having the Most High is appointed over us, right? When we're keeping his covenant, the Most High is appointed over us. And he is a great God. He is a God that is our protection that we just read. We heard David say it. We heard Jeremiah say it, right? But instead of that, if we don't keep his covenant, he's going to appoint over us terror. Go ahead.
I will even appoint over you terror, consumption, and the burning of egg that shall consume the eyes and cause sorrow of heart. And ye shall sow your seed in vain, for your enemies shall eat it.
Right, so he's telling us that he's going to appoint over us terror, consumption, and the burning egg that shall consume the eyes and cause sorrow of heart. And he also said, we'll sow seed, right? Meaning, if you know anything about husbandry, right, it's talking about farming, right? It's talking about sowing seeds in the ground. You sow seeds in the ground to grow trees, to grow crops, vegetables, whatever, right? And those things are good for you to eat. They keep you healthy. He's saying that we're going to sow seed in vain. Why? Because our enemies are going to eat of it. And if you see what's happening to us in America, what happens? We work for $10 an hour. We're sowing seed, figuratively, right? We're sowing seed, and who gets the most of that money? You work at Amazon for $12 an hour. You making Jeff Bezos a billionaire. That's what you're doing, right? And that's us sowing seed in vain. Because what do we do with that $12 an hour? You pay, for some, terrible apartment in the project somewhere, and you want Section 8 or whatever the case, right? You want food stamps because you can barely afford to survive, but you making Jeff Bezos rich. And that's what this is talking about. That's what the Lord said he was going to do to us if we didn't keep his commandment. And look at where we are now, right? He also said that he was going to appoint over us terror. And of course, we know that our oppressor is a terrible man. You know what I'm saying? He is the one that is the most. You ask the average white man who the terrorists are. They'll say the Arabs. Arabs ain't never oppressed me like the white man has. You get what I'm saying? That's the real oppressor. That's the real terrorist, right? Give me verse 17.
Verse 17. and I will set my face against you, and ye shall be slain before your enemies. They that hate you shall reign over you.
So that the people that reign over us, they won't be our own people, the people that love us. They're going to be the people that hate us. Who has had a perpetual hatred for the children of Israel? Ezekiel 35:5 tells you that Esau has had a perpetual hatred over us. And that's who's reigning over us. Not our friend, not our buddy, right? Keep going.
And ye shall flee when none pursueth you.
And ye shall flee when none pursueth you. And this is the life that we live in America today. And we just read this in the book of Leviticus. This is very, very similar to what you'll find in the book of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. This is a curse that the Most High is telling us over and over again. Just like he said, just like he just said in the book of Jeremiah, he's told us over and over and over again, keep these laws, keep this covenant. Because in this covenant and in these laws is life. But if you don't want to keep this covenant, you don't want to be under my protection, you're just gonna find death. And that's exactly what we've been finding, right? Let's get back into it, right? Let's do Jeremiah 11, and we'll read verse 9.
Verse 9. And the Lord said unto me, a conspiracy is found among the men of Judah, and among the inhabitants of Jerusalem.
He said a conspiracy is found among the men of Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem. Right? A conspiracy is like a secret plan where they huddling up together to do something unlawful. That's what a conspiracy is. To do something bad. They're coming up and huddling up together in quiet, thinking that they're out of the reach of the Most High's eyesight. When the scriptures say that the Most High's eyes are brighter, 1,000 times or 10,000 times brighter, than the sun. I mean, he's in all places, beholding all things. That's what the scriptures say. You can't hide from the Most High. But the men of Judah, they think they can hide. And that's why they're in the corners devising wicked things, right? Verse 10.
Verse 10. They are turned back to the iniquities of their forefathers, which refused to hear my words, and they went after other gods to serve them. And they went after other gods to serve them. So they turned back to the iniquities of their forefathers. If you read the book of the book of First and Second Chronicles, you'll see that we constantly have this back and forth struggle with righteousness and wickedness. Meaning, for a time we'll be righteous and we'll follow the Most High's laws, and then we'll be blessed because of that. And what happens is we get comfortable. We get comfortable being blessed. We get comfortable having things. And so what we'll do is we'll say, well, we ain't got to serve the Most High no more. We already straight. We already set up, right? We already rich. And then what happened? The Most High cursed them. You know what I'm saying? Because they'll go back to that idolatry that they was doing, right? And that's what we've constantly doing. If you read, like I said, if you read the book of Chronicles, it's back and forth consistently. You have a good king, a righteous king, and you have a wicked king. And then his son will be righteous, and then his son will be wicked. And that's what we've constantly been doing, back and forth, right? So we've turned back to the iniquities of our forefathers, which refused to hear the Most High's word. And we went after other gods to serve them. Go ahead. The house of Israel and the house of Judah have broken my covenant, which I made with their fathers. And this is also how you can tell that we are under the new covenant now, right? Jeremiah 31 explains that, but this covenant, this old covenant was broken. It's broken. We just read it here. We'll read it in Jeremiah the 31st chapter as well, right? That covenant was broken because of the fact that we didn't want to serve the Most High consistently, right? Proverbs 26:11 says, as a dog returneth to his vomit, so is a fool to his folly, right? So when the scriptures are saying that we turned back to the iniquities of our forefathers, we turn them back to that vomit, man. What's something that's what does vomit represent? Something that's not good for your body. You throw up because your body don't want it in there, right? You drink too much or whatever, your body automatically throws up. You eat too much, you ate too much food, right? Your body will throw it up. If you're sick, your body's trying to cleanse itself, so you'll throw up, right? That's what vomit is. You don't want it in your body, right? So this analogy is talking about the fact that you threw up something that was bad for you, which is sin in this instance, right? But you go back to it. You see that sin and you go right back to it, knowing that it's not good for you. And that's what we've done. And that says that's a fool that does something like that, right? But let's keep reading. Verse 11. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, behold, I will bring evil upon them, which they shall not be able to escape. Mm-hmm. And thou, they cried. like they shall cry unto me, I will not hearken unto them.
So because we've done that, because we went back to that vomit, Most High said, listen, I'll bring evil on them and they'll not be able to escape it. And people have tried, right? Some of these other Israelite groups, they try to go, they try to go to Egypt to escape. GOCC, they went to Egypt, try to escape, the oppression here. A couple of them went to the United Kingdom, went around some Egyptians. That's like wild to me. It don't make no sense. But they thought they could escape, right? And then their families is getting molested and raped over there in Egypt. The cats that went to Demona, they thought they could escape the oppression that's in America, right? They went to Demona. Their families are getting molested and raped. You cannot escape this curse from the Most High. The only thing that you can do to better your situation in this hell is to serve the Most High. And the Most High will deliver you through his son, right? We'll keep going.
Verse 12. Then shall the cities of Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem go and cry unto the gods unto whom they offer incense.
So when times get tough, they're not going to come serve the Most High. That's not what they're going to do. They're going to go serve the gods that they've been serving. And that's what we do here, right? That's what we do in America. In America, what we do is when times get tough, we go serve Caesar Borgia in the Christian church. That's what we do, right? We go to church on Sunday and, praise so-called God. That's what we do instead of actually seeking out the truth, right? That's what we do. And that's the problem. And that's why we're still in this condition today. But keep reading.
Right. But they shall not save them.
But they're not going to be able to save you, right? People thought, Bishop Eddie Long was going to be able to save them. That's what they thought. Them little boys thought that they had a place of safety in there. That's what they thought. But what happened? Bishop Eddie Long was raping them little boys, man. That's what he was doing. When he would go, but when they would do them little secret meeting, I don't call them secret. The parents knew about it. When they was doing those little one-on-one councils or whatever you want to call it, he was going in that office and they was getting molested. That's what was happening. But they thought that they could find succor in Eddie Long, just like they thought they could find succor in Joel Osteen. But what is Joel Osteen doing? When the flood happened in 2018 or 20? I think it was 2019, right? When the flood happened in Houston, he closed his doors and we opened ours, right? But everybody wanted to go to Joel Osteen. Come to find out, they can't even get in. They don't have a place of safety over there. They're going to the wrong places, and that's what the Most High is talking about here. When times get tough, you don't go to the Most High. Not really. You know what I'm saying? You go to what you conceive or perceive as the Most High, which is Caesar Borgia, your Christian church, or your Muslim mosque. That's what you go to, right? But keep going.
But they shall not save them at all in the time of their trouble.
Right.
For according to the number of the cities where thy gods of Judah, and according to the number of
he said, for according to the number of thy cities were thy gods, O Judah. Keep going.
And according to the number of the streets of Jerusalem, have ye set up altars to that shameful thing, even altars unto burn incense unto Baal.
So he said, according to the number of thy cities were thy gods, and according to the number of thy streets, right? Meaning we had all types of gods. See, take me to Wisdom of Solomon in the Apocrypha, 14th chapter, right? We have some connection issues up here.
You said 14?
Yeah, Wisdom of Solomon 14. See, the thing is that people look at, they look at idols as it's just, like somebody might, like, for instance, going back to what I always bring up, the golden calf. Now, this is a lion, right? But the golden calf that they formed in coming out of Egypt, right? People look at idols as like it has to just be that. Now, that could be an idol if you worship it for sure. But that's not the only thing an idol is. Your idol could be your husband. Your idol could be your wife. Your idol could be your children. If you don't stop celebrating Christmas because you want to see the kids happy, so you got to still celebrate Christmas. Not only is Christmas and Nimrod your idol, but also your children are your idol because you're putting them before the Most High. Idols, anything that you put before the Most High. And we're going to read a couple of things. This entire chapter of Wisdom of Solomon, the 14th chapter, is an excellent chapter for idolatry. Like, no doubt, right? But for time's sake, we'll read a couple of instances in here that we can, relate to, right? You can start at verse 1.
Verse 1. Again, it's like Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, verse 1. Again, one preparing himself to sail and about to pass through the raging waves, calleth upon a piece of wood more rotten than the vessel that carrieth him.
So now this is a heavy scripture right here. It says, one preparing to himself to sail and about to pass through the raging waves. So now this person is on a boat getting ready to go through a storm in the ocean. And if anybody knows anything about them storms in the ocean, them waves will absolutely destroy you and your boat and everything about you. That's what can happen, right? And so what does this person do? He's preparing himself to go through them raging waves, but he calls upon a piece of wood more rotten than the vessel that carrieth him. So what is that talking about? He's got a wooden boat that he don't trust. He don't trust that wooden boat because he knows it's about to go through hell with these raging waves. He thinks he's about to die. So what does he do? He calls on a piece of wood that's more rotten than that boat. What is that talking about? Imagine, everybody knows with the so-called Hispanics how they got them rosaries. Them rosaries be having that wooden cross. And you ever seen, I know you know all about it. They'll take it and they'll kiss it and then do the whole Father, Son, Holy Ghost thing when they're in a bad situation or when they feel like, they need help from the Most High or whatever. They're calling upon that piece of wood. But little do they know that piece of wood is more rotten than what they're praying about. Like this cat that we're talking about in this instance is praying about his rotten boat that he doesn't trust to go through them waves. But that piece of wood is even worse than that. You should trust less in that piece of wood and more in that boat, right? Let's skip down, right? Verse 6.
Verse 6. For the old. Verse 6. For in the old time also, when the proud giants perished.
So the pride, remember, this is talking about the time of Noah. Remember, the scriptures said that there were giants in those days, right? Those giants are not talking about literal giants. Those giants are talking about men of renown, which is what the scripture calls them. Just, just like how you would look at somebody that's extremely famous, right? Somebody that's extremely renowned, right? And so those giants, those proud giants, they perished. Why did they perish? Because they didn't get on Noah's ark. They didn't believe in the Most High. They didn't believe in Noah. Keep going.
The hope of the world, governed by thy hand, escaped in a weak vessel, and left to all ages a seed of generation.
That seed of generation was Noah and his 3 sons, right? That was that seed of generation, and that was just by one boat that brother built over time, right? But keep going.
Verse 7. For blessed is the wood whereby righteousness cometh.
So that's the wood that you can trust in. Blessed is the wood whereby righteousness cometh, right? Because the wood that first cat that we read in the first verse, that wood wasn't blessed by the Most High. Like the scripture said, it was rotten wood. And then the thing that he wanted to pray to was even more rotten than that. But in consideration of what we're talking about with Noah's ark or Noah's boat, whatever you want to call it, that was a vessel that was blessed by the Most High. And that's why it was able to save him and all of those animals and all of his children, right? Keep going. Verse 8.
Verse 8. But that which is made with hands is cursed, as well it as he that made it.
So it says, but that which is made with hands is cursed. Now that doesn't mean whatever you build with your hands is cursed, because we know that Noah built the ark, right? But it wasn't cursed. But the reason why he made it was because the Most High told him to make it, right? And that's the righteousness that this is talking about, right? Blessed is the wood whereby righteousness cometh, but that which is made with hands is cursed. And that's what that's talking about. What it's talking about is the same thing that you see with Aaron in the wilderness, right? When it was coming out of Egypt. He fashioned that golden calf because he wanted to serve, or not just him, the entire nation of Israel at that time wanted to serve other gods because they didn't trust in the Most High anymore, right? Keep going.
Right. And it, because being corruptible, it was called God.
So he's going to be cursed because he made it, and it, because it being corruptible, was called God, right? Both of those things are cursed for those 2 reasons, right? Give me verse 12.
Verse 12. For the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication, and the invention of them the corruption of life.
Right, so the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication. Keep going. I'm going to explain that in just a second.
Verse 13.
Yeah.
For neither were they from the beginning, neither shall they be forever.
In the beginning, there were no idols. It wasn't supposed to be no other gods, right? It was never supposed to be anything that you served outside of the Most High, right? But then we see what happened. When Eve put that serpent, that devil, in front of the Most High, she had then made that devil an idol unto her, because she decided she was going to serve the devil and not the Most High. And then what happened? Adam did the same thing. But it was never supposed to be that way, because the Most High gave Adam the truth, right? And what happened? They decided to go up against it. That was the beginning of spiritual fornication, right? That was the beginning of death. We saw that. We saw that in the book of Genesis, that was the beginning of death, right? Let's keep going.
Verse 14. For by the vainglory of men they entered into the world, and therefore shall they come shortly to an end.
Right. And of course, the scripture said that the Most High is not a vain God. Most High is not a vain God. He don't believe in doing things in vanity. Everything that we do is for a purpose. Even us doing this, even us serving the Most High and sacrificing for the Most High, sacrificing time, sacrificing family. It's not for no reason, right? We get a reward out of this. This is the Most High said that he's going to reward us for our work, for our diligence, right? So even with that, we're not even doing this in vain, right? But verse 15, I'm going to show you how idols are devised. Like I said earlier, an idol can be anything, and we're about to find out about it, right? Verse 15.
Verse 15. For a father afflicted with untimely mourning, when he hath made an image of his child soon taken away.
So a father afflicted with untimely mourning. Imagine father, mother, whatever, right? Having a child that dies at a young age. 2, 3-year-old, 5-year-old, 10-year-old, 14, a child, right? That dies. And it's an untimely death, right? He hath made an image of his child soon taken away. Go ahead.
Now honored him as a god.
As a what?
As a god.
He honored him as a god. Now, does that mean that he has to be bowing down to some altar? No, that don't mean that. That don't mean that in order for you to make somebody a god or something a god, it don't mean that you got to put it somewhere and bow down to it. It could be as simple as you putting that thing before the Most High. And when you honor something as a god, like I said earlier, your husband could be your husband could take the place of the Most High in your eyes. Ask Ezekiel. Ezekiel's wife came before the Most High in his eyes. And what happened to Ezekiel? It's like the Most High killed Ezekiel's wife. Killed his wife and said, you are not allowed to mourn over this. You're going to get up. He said, you're going to wrap your mitre and you're going to go out there and teach. He said, you're not allowed to even mourn over this woman because you put her before me. Now, was he bowing down to her every day? No. But he decided he was going to listen to her and not the Most High. And that's what this is, the same thing here, right? Keep reading.
Which was then a dead man, and delivered to those that were under him ceremonies and sacrifices.
Keep going.
Thus, in process of time.
Now, this is over time. Now, over time, this is how far that type of situation could go, right? So, thus, in process of time, go ahead.
An ungodly custom, grown strong, was kept as a law.
Was kept as what?
As a law.
Go ahead.
And graven images were worshipped by the commandments of kings.
Now, this is an excellent example of this would be Nimrod. Right.
That's what I was just thinking.
Yeah. So, like, if anybody don't know, Christmas is the celebration of Christmas comes from ancient times. It's been around for 3,000 years, like 3,500 years, right? And what happened was a king named Nimrod was killed, right? He was killed, and his mother buried him. And so everybody, before he died, everybody feared him because he was he was a terrible king, right? And when he died, his mother buried him under like a pine tree, right? And his mother told everybody in the land that you have to come and offer gifts unto this tree because he's buried here, right? And if you don't, he's going to curse you. And within his death, he's going to haunt you, curse you, whatever, right? And you're going to die. So all the people of the land, they went and they every year around the same time, they would go and they would offer gifts unto this tree. And that's where you get your Christmas from. Now, that is something that's a perfect example of what we just read, right? Because it says, thus in process of time, over time, right? An ungodly custom grown strong was kept as law, and graven images were worshipped by the commandment of kings. Every December 25th, that's a commandment of the king, right? Meaning it's a federally ordained holiday, and people look at you like you're crazy if you don't celebrate Christmas, right? But that's where that comes from, and that all that was because some man died. Right. And so imagine how far. I just saw some, I don't know if y'all know who Young Dolph is, but Young Dolph was just murdered in Memphis, and I done seen multiple pictures of people getting tattoos of Young Dolph on their arm. Like that's this here. That's what this is talking about, right? Like Nipsey Hussle. Right. Nipsey, they putting murals of him up and getting tattoos of him and all of that, man. That's idolatry. For you to tattoo, and that's why you should never tattoo. You shouldn't get tattoos at all, period, right? But that's why you should never put yourself in a position where you turn your whole life to be about this person or this thing. Like that's what this is talking about. And that's what Nimrod's mother did. And now through process of time, everybody's doing it. Nobody even knows why they're doing it. It's just a holiday to them, right? But it's an ungodly custom, and the Lord will punish you for doing it, even if you don't know where it comes from. Straight like that, right? But keep going. Give me verse 27, just so we can get back into it.
Verse 27. For the worshiping of idols not to be named is the beginning, the cause, and the end of all evil.
Listen, man, the worshiping of idols is the beginning, the cause, and the end of all evil. That's what I was saying earlier. I told you I was going to show you that earlier, that everything that you do against the Most High is because of idolatry. Straight like that. Straight like that. If you a man that goes and has sex with another man's wife, which is idolatry, which is adultery, that's because you put that woman over the Most High. Right. That's idolatry. You get what I'm saying? If you go out for brothers that's been in the streets, if you go out and you murder somebody because they murdered your cousin or your friend or your brother, you putting your friend or your brother above the Most High because you went out and killed for him. That's the beginning and the end and the cause of all evil is idolatry. And that's why this class is so heavy. I try to do this class every now and then to remind people that you have to really check your intentions of why you're doing things, right? Some people have an alcohol addiction. Some people have a drug addiction, right? If you are a drunkard, meaning you drink too goddamn much and you're throwing up and sloppy all over the damn place, that's unlawful according to the Most High. You cannot be a drunkard. You can drink, but you can't be a drunkard. So if you are a drunkard and you drink like that, you're putting that bottle you're putting that bottle up above the Most High, in front of the Most High, right? If you're getting high, right, smoking weed, doing drugs, you're putting those drugs above the Most High. That's idolatry too. All of those things are idolatry. So that's why I wanted to read that last one for sure, because a lot of people got to remember. Some people say, well, all sin comes from covetousness, but that's not necessarily true. But what is necessarily true is that all sin comes from idolatry, right? So now we can go back. All right. Let's get back into it. Let's go back to Jeremiah, the 11th chapter. We can read verse 14.
Verse 14. Therefore, pray not thou for this people, neither lift up a cry or prayer for them.
Good.
For I will not hear them in the time that they cry unto me for their trouble.
Right. So he said, I will not hear them when they cry unto me. Why is that? Because the Lord doesn't hear the prayer of sinners. Let's get that if I could. That's in the book of, let's see. I believe there's a couple of them. I think the one I want is in the book of Proverbs. Let me see. It's in Proverbs. There's a couple of them. So there's one in 15. There's one in 28. Let's do Proverbs 28 and 9. Just to solidify why the Most High is saying this, because he just said, don't pray for this people. Don't lift up a cry or a prayer for them, for I will not hear them in the time that they cry unto me for their trouble. And we're going to show you why. Good.
Book of Proverbs, chapter 28, verse 9. He that turneth away his ear from hearing the law, even his prayer shall be an abomination.
So he said, if you turn your ear away from doing the law, your prayer is an abomination. Meaning the Most High would rather that you wouldn't pray to him at all, wouldn't even try. Because what you need to do before you try to pray to the Most High and ask this and ask that, you need to get yourself right. You need to start keeping these laws. And that's why he said, don't pray for this people. They don't deserve it. Because the prayer that they praying unto me is an abomination. Straight up, right? So I just wanted to make sure everybody had that precept. We're going to read the next 7 verses quickly. Let me see. All right, yeah, we'll read those. All right, so 15 through 21, we're reading the Hebrew, and then we'll read it in the English. All right, let me see where we at. All right, verse 15, Maha, Layad, Yada, Baba Yathya, Aishawath, Hamazamath, Hamazamatha, Harabia, it's like a Harabium, Wabashar, Kodash, Yaibarwa, Ma'al Yaka, Kaya, Ra'itha, it's like it, Ra'itha Kaya, Azah, Tha'al, it's like a Tha'ilazia, verse 16, Zayath, Ra'inat, it's like a Ra'inan, Yapa, Parya, Tha'ar, Korah, Yahweh, Shankar, Lakwa, Hamawallah, Gadalha, Hatazat, it's like Hatazayath, Ash, Al Yah, Wara Iwa, Dala, Yawath, it's like Yawath, Yawa, verse 17, Wa Yahweh, Tazabawath, Hanawatai, Awathak, it's like Yawathka, Dabar, Al Yaka, Ra'i, Bagalah, Raitha, Bayath, it's like Yasharala, or Bayath, Yahawada, Ashar, Aishawa, Laham, Lahaka, it's like Lahaka Isu Sanya, Lakwatar, Labaila, verse 18, Wa Yahweh, it's like Hawad Ya'i, Naya, Wa'ada, it's like Wa'adai, Azah, Harayath Naya, Ma'al, Layaham, verse 19, Wa'anya, Kakabash, Alawak, Yawabal, Lata, it's like Latawak, Wala'a, Yadai, Thaya, Kaya, Alya, Kashabwa, Makash, like it's like Makashab Wath, Nashak, it's like a Nashak, Yatha, Aitaza, Balakamwa, Wanakarath, Nawa, Ma'arataza, Hayam, it's like a Kayam, Washamwa, La'a, Yazakar, Iwad, verse 20, Wa Yahweh, Tazabawath, Shapat, Tazadak, Bakaz, Kal Yawath, Wala, it's like Walaba, Ara, it's like Ara'ah, Nakwamathka, Maham, Kaya, Al-Yaka, Gal Yathya, Ath, Rayabya, verse 21, Lakan, Kaha, Amar, Yahweh, Al, Anashya, Anathya, it's like Anathwath, it's like Hamaba, Hama, it's like Hamaba, Kwashayam, Ath, Napashka, La'amar, La'a, Thanaba, Basham, Yahweh, Wala'ah, Thamawath, by Dunwa. All right, so that was verses 14, it's like 15 through 21. We'll read those in the English.
Jeremiah chapter 11, verse 15. What hath my beloved to do in my house, seeing she hath wrought lewdness with many, and the holy flesh is passed from thee. When thou doest evil, then thou rejoice.
So this is talking about the spiritual fornication that we've committed against the Most High, right? Well, this is still talking about idolatry, right? To give the analogy, right? When a man has a woman, that's his woman. She cannot, be with anybody else. But if she goes and she has sex with another man, or in this case, many other men, she has committed fornication and adultery. And the Most High is our husband, meaning he's the husband to the children of Israel. That's what the Bible says, right? And we've gone off from him and played the whore with all of these other guys, right? And like I said, those guys could be anything. If you want to go on a bigger scale, that's Christianity and Islam today, right? Those are the main guys that we're serving today. Back in the day, though, we were serving Molech and Dagon and Baal. You know what I'm saying? All of these other heathen gods, right? We've done that consistently. So that's what the Most High is telling us. That's what that lewdness is, right? And the holy flesh is passed from us because we've tainted ourselves with these other gods, right? Verse 16.
Verse 16. The Lord called thy name, and a green olive tree, fair and of goodly fruit.
So the Lord called our name, and this sounds so sweet and special. He said a green olive tree, fair, which is beautiful, right? And of goodly fruit. But keep going.
With the noise of a great trumpet, it's like a tumult, he hath kindled fire upon it.
He burnt up that damn tree, man. That tree that he called us that was so beautiful, he burnt that tree up and did what? Go ahead.
And branches of it are broken.
And the branches of that tree are broken. And that's what we are today. That's why we are the way we are today, because we were at one time a fair, beautiful olive tree bearing good fruit. But the Most High burned us up and broke the branches off of us. And that's why we're so divided, and that's why we're in the hell that we're in today, because of what we just read, because of that idolatry, because of that lewdness, playing the whore, right? Go ahead.
For the Lord of hosts that planted thee hath pronounced evil against thee.
The Most High created us. He created us to be a special people unto himself. Deuteronomy 7:6 says that we are above all nations, a holy people, a special people, right? So he created us. He planted us, but he has now pronounced evil against us. Go ahead.
For the evil of the house of Israel and of the house of Judah, which they have done against themselves, to provoke me to anger in offering incense unto Baal, and the Lord hath given me knowledge of it, and I know it. Then thou showest me their doings. But I was like a lamb or an ox that is brought to the slaughter, and I knew not that they had devised devices against me, saying, let us destroy the tree with the fruit thereof, and let us cut him off from the land of the living, and that his name may be no more remembered.
Right. So now this is Jeremiah speaking here, and he's going to say something that's extremely important for us to remember, right? Verse 20.
Verse 20. But, O Lord of hosts, the judges righteously, that treest, that reigns, and the heart
tries the reins.
The triest the reins of the heart. Let me see the vengeance of them.
Thy vengeance on them. Now remember, Jeremiah was plotted against. Jeremiah was a prophet, just like how we and ISUPK are not received well by many people because of the things that we say, because we prophesied what the Lord says. Well, Jeremiah went through that same problem, right? They plotted to kill him. They plotted to absolutely murder him, right? And that's what happens to us today. When we out there speaking at camp, They tell us they're gonna kill us. They tell us, oh man, I got a gun, I'm gonna shoot you. All of those things, because that's the same spirit. The same spirit that them prophets had back then is the same spirit that we have now. And some people are too coward to do it. Jonah was too coward to do it. Jonah was told to prophesy against Nineveh, but he knew that the people were going to hate him for that prophecy, because he was supposed to tell them that the Lord was going to destroy that city. He was going to destroy that city. And so Jonah didn't want to do that. He went up to Spain. He said, I'm not doing that. He went up to Tarshish and he was like, I'm not doing that at all. But of course, what ended up happening? The Lord set him right? Because he got on that ship thinking he was going to escape to Spain. And the Lord had him swallowed up by that big fish, right? But that's somebody that's too cowardly to do this work. Jeremiah, he wasn't too cowardly to do this work. He did it. That's why he has a whole book in here that was scribed, right? And what did he do instead of running off? He just prayed to the Most High. What did he do? He prayed that those people that came up against him, that he would see his vengeance on them. Keep going.
Let me see thy vengeance on them, for unto thee have I revealed my cause. Mm-hmm. Therefore, thus saith the Lord of the men of Anath that seek thy life, saying, prophesy not in the name of the Lord, that thou die not by our hand. Right. So that's the 7, but just for the sake of context, we'll read the rest of this chapter. It's just 2 more verses. So verse 22. Therefore, thus saith the Lord of hosts, behold, I will punish them. The young men shall die by the sword. Mm-hmm. Their sons and their daughters shall die by famine. 23. And there shall be no remnant of them, for I will bring evil upon the men of Anath, even the year of their visitation. Right. So the next chapter kind of goes into that a little bit, but for sake of time, we're gonna stop here. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody had that. Like I said, I do these idolatry classes every now and then just to remind people that you got to really keep in check, your service to God, because a lot of people think they're serving God and they don't really realize that there's so many things that they're putting above the Most High. You might be putting your slavery above the Most High, your job. You might put your job above the Most High. You get what I'm saying? You might, like I said, you might put somebody in your life, your children, your husband, your friend, your mother, whatever, in front of the Most High. So many people realize that they can't, celebrate Thanksgiving and Christmas and all of these holidays in America. And they realize these things because we teach them those things. But their mama still, get them on the phone and start crying. You're not coming around for Thanksgiving? You're not coming around for Christmas? Some of these niggas, man, they just be so weak. They say, well, okay, Ma, I got you. I'm going to come around. I'm not going to celebrate Thanksgiving, but I'm going to come around. I'm going to come and eat with y'all. You're celebrating Thanksgiving. You're celebrating Christmas. That's what you're doing when you're going over there. I hear that a lot. Also, I wouldn't say here, but I say when, like the Jehovah's Witness, when there's so much, they try to say they don't celebrate holidays, but they go over to the family's house in order to get, I'm just here for the food. It's really what they say, right? That's like one of the famous quotes. I'm just here for the food, and it's like they want to serve the Most High, but they don't know how to. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, they're being led wrong. Like a lot of these men, a lot of these sisters that's in the Christian church, they believe TD Jakes. They straight up believe. They believe Creflo Dollar. They believe Creflo Dollar when he says that sin, that the law, keeping the law is sin. They believe him when he says that. You get what I'm saying? So, but that of course is because, like the scriptures say, that he'll put a reprobate mind on you. Like he'll make it to where you'll never learn. And some people are like that. So you got to really be careful. Like I said, you have to be extremely careful in your service to the Most High, because if you're not checking yourself, you could be doing something completely wrong. I thought I was in the truth, 6 years ago when I found out I was an Israelite. That's not being in the truth, man. That's not. You have to do everything that is involved in the truth. Everything. The scriptures say there's only one truth in the book of Ephesians, the 4th chapter. It's only one. So you have to make sure that you're actually in the truth. Because I thought I was an Israelite, but there was a lot of things that I was doing that I wasn't supposed to be doing. I thought I was in the truth. I was doing a whole bunch of things that I just didn't know better. Now I know better, and now I have to keep those things. Because Hebrews 10:26 says, if you sin willfully after you've received the knowledge of the truth, there's no more sacrifice for sins, because Christ only died.
All right, but we got to close out. All right, so we're gonna close out with the prayers. All right. So just me up here, module. All right, everybody else, our modules needs to stand. We're gonna read these prayers. Face the east, Salaki. Kwadam, Panyag Wadam, which means to face the east, which is that way. All right, so we're going to begin with the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abanawu, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Hayah, Shamka, Yahweh, Malak with Ka, Sabbath, Ratazaka, Hayah, Aisha, Barataza, Kawa, Hayah, Bashamayu, Nathalanaw, Nakam, Kal Yawam, Asalakanaw, Kawabwathnaw, Kasalaknaw, Kawawathinaw, Wala'a, Abayanaw, Wanasai 1, Abal, Hawashanaw, Mayan, Raikaya, Laka, Amalakwa, Waha'ala, Wathapara, La'iwalamyum, Aman. The Lord's Prayer in the English. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. So be it. All right, we'll read the power in the Hebrew. Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Baba Kushah, Nathanaw, Hakak, Larapa'ah, Kalmaka'ala, Wakalmadawa, Hakak Latahar, Hamatazarayim, Hakak, Lakwayam, Hamathu, Hakak, Awakawa, Atama'ala, Lagarashan, Ba'ashem Yahushai, the Wadaman. In the English, Yahweh. In the name of Yahweh, please give us the power. The power to heal all manner of sickness. And all manner of disease. The power to cleanse the lepers. The power to raise the dead. The power against unclean spirits. To cast them out. In the name of Yahweh. Thank you. So be it. Psalms the 121st chapter in the Hebrew. Asha'ah, Ayanya, Ahaharyim, Ma'ayan, Yaba'ah, Izarya, Ma'ain, Yahweh, Aisha, Shamayam, Warataza, Al-Yathan, Lamawat, Ragalka, Al-Yanawam, Shamarka, Hana, La'a, Yanawam, Wala'a, Yayashan, Shalmar, Yasha'al, Yahweh, Shamarka, Yahweh, Tazalka, Al-Yad, Yamin Slaki, Al-Yad, Yaminka, Yawamam, Yawamam, Hashamash, La'a, Yakaka, Wayarak, Balayala, Yahweh, Yashamarka, Makalra, Yashamar, Athnapashka, Yahweh, Yashamar, Taza'athka, Waba, Wa'aka, Ma'aitha, Wa'ai, Iwalam. Psalms 121 in the English. I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills. From whence cometh my help? My help cometh from Yahweh, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Yasharallah shall neither slumber nor sleep. Yahweh is thy keeper. Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. Yahweh shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. Yahweh shall preserve thy going out. And thy coming in. From this time forth. And even forevermore. Psalms the 83rd chapter. In the Hebrew, Alahayim, Adama Yalaka, Al Thakarash, Wa Al Thashikwat, Al Kayana, Awayabika, Yahamaya 1, Ra'ash, Al Imaka, Ya'arayamwa, Sawada, Wayatha, Ya'aitizaw, Al Tazapawanyaka, Amarwa, Lakawa, Wanakakidam, Magalia, Wala'a, Yazakar, Sham Yasha'alu, Awuda, Kaya, Nawaitazam, Laba, Yakadwa, Auyaka, Barya, Yakarathwa, Ahaya, Adawam, Wayashamai Aliyam, Mawa'aba, Wagarya, Gabal, Waimawan, Waimalak, Halasha, I'm Yeshabya, Tazawar, Gamashawar, Nalawa, Imam, Hayawa, Zarwa, Labanya Lawat, Salah, Aishalaham, Kamadi, Kasaya, Sara'a, Kayabian, Manakal, Kwayashwan, Nashamadwa, Ba'ayan, Da'ara, Hayawa, Daman, La'adama, Soyafamwa, Nada, Yamawa, Ka'ira, Wakaza Abba, Wakaza Bak, Wakatazal, Mana'ai, Call, Nasaya, Kamwa, Ashar, Amarwa, Mayarashah, Lanawa, Na'awath, Alahayim, Alahayim, Sayathamwa, Kagalgala, Kakwash, Lapanya, Raka, Ka'ash, Thaba'ira, Ya'ira, Wakala Haba, Thalahat, Haryam, Khan, Tharadabma, Basa'iraka, Wabasa, Wapatka, Tabahalam, Mala'ah, Panyaham, Kwalawan, Waya, Bakwashwa, Shamka, Yahawa, Yabashwa, Waya, Bahawa, Ayai, Waya, Kaparwa, Waya, Abagwa, Waya, Da'aiwa, Kayatha, Shamka, Yahawa, Labadka, Al-Yawan, Al-Kal, Ha'arataza. All right, Psalms the 83rd chapter in the English. Keep not thou silence, O Yahweh.
Keep not thy silence, O Yahweh.
Hold not thy peace.
Hold not thy peace.
And be not still, O Yahweh.
And be not still, O Yahweh.
For lo,
thine
enemies make a tumult.
Thy enemies make a tumult.
And they that hate thee have lifted up the head.
And they that hate thee have lifted up the head.
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people.
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people.
And consulted against thy hidden ones.
And consulted against thy hidden ones.
They have said,
Come,
and let us cut them off from being a nation.
And let us cut them off from being a nation.
That the name of Yasha'Allah may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom. And the Ishmaelites of Moab, and the Hagarenes, Gabal, and Ammon, and Amalek, the Philistines, with the inhabitants of Tyre. Assur also is joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot. Salah. Do unto them as unto the Midianites. As to Sisera, as to Jabin, at the brook of Kisan, which perished that endured. They became as dung for the earth. Make their nobles like Oreb, and like Ze'er. Yea, all their princes as Abba, and as Almunah, who said, let us take to ourselves the houses of Yahweh in possession. Oh my God, make them like a wheel, as the stubble before the wind, as the fire burneth the wood, and as the flame setteth the mountains on fire. So persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm. Fill their faces with shame, that they may seek thy name, O Lord. That they may seek thy name. O Yahweh. Let them be confounded in trouble forever. Yea. Let them be put to shame and perish. That they may know that thou, whose name alone is Yahweh, art the most high of all the earth. All right. Blessings in the Hebrew. Barakatah Yahweh. Why Yahweh Shai? It's like Wa Mayaka Allah. Wa Alahayim. Wa Tazab Ya'ah. Alawab Yahana. Ha Alawapim. Hasaranyu. Akwatazayanyu. Akayayayu. Wa Hagwati. Yahweh. Bashem Yahweh Shai. The Wad Aman. In the English. Bless you, Yahweh. And Yahweh Shai. And Michael. And the angels. Commanding General Yohana. The generals. The captains. The officers. The troopers. And the sisters. Yahweh. In the name of Yahweh Shai. Thank you, so be it. All right, sorry, while you're shopping, we can be seated. Any brothers want to be anointed with oil? Any sisters, do y'all want to be anointed with oil? Okay. All right, so with that, we're going to close out Men of Israel Majin, which means to stand. Just the men. Y'all can stay seated for right now. We're gonna salute out the Sabbath service. All right. Men of Israel, Amaju Shabbat, Amaju, Barak, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Barakatham. Sorry towards the sisters. Sisters, if you can stand, Amaju. We're gonna give the sisters a courtesy salute as well. Men of Israel, Amaju Shabbat, Amaju, Barak, Yahweh Shamar, Alathah, Bashem, Yahweh Shai. Y'all can repeat Yahweh, Shamar, Al, Athah, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. All right, with that, Sabbath service complete. Dismiss.